Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we're gonna be going over the big random balance patch that Capcom surprised us with right after the NA East. We're gonna be going over. I'm gonna go like character by character. It's gonna be listed in the description. I'm gonna skip over the characters that are bug fixes. I'm just gonna like mention them, but not every character got changes, and some characters only got bug fixes. But some of the changes are pretty substantial. So just check in the description, and I'm gonna have like a list of timestamps for each character, and I'm gonna probably do the segment thing in the bar if I know how to can figure out how to do that. But mainly, I just wanted to make this list for myself. I have a big thing of notes that I'm going to put in the description as well. That is just the notes that I took when I went through and made this. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. First character with major changes is Nash. Alright, so first of Nash's changes is that he has his stand light kick is +3 on hit. Combos into each other now, up from +2. And it can now go into this new Kage combo. So instead of that, like before this would leave them standing, now it knocks down. With V skill 1, you can build meter, and then with V skill 2, like just like that, you're +1 after getting it up. So it's like a safe way to get it up. Next, they buffed his crouch medium kick, so his crouch medium kick is now +4 instead of 0 on hit. You don't get any kind of links after, even point blank, but you do now have a delayed cancel window. So instead of having to cancel on frame 13 into V-trigger, you can hit confirm since it's frame 16 into damage, just like that. Other than that, it also recovers 1 frame faster, so it's a little bit harder to whip punish. Next, they've increased the damage on Heavy Tragedy Assault from 140 to 160, and they've increased the stun from 150 to 200. So it's a more rewarding combo ender. And when you get this knockdown mid-screen, as you dash your +3. Basically, you would never go into this combo ender, which is the only time that you're able to combo into Tragedy Assault, because instead you could go to this, which was more rewarding. So you can see 260, 432, 267, 432 versus 236, 340. It's still less rewarding, so I don't know why they want you to use this, but I mean, it's a buff, I guess. Especially off this crush counter that they tried to buff a different way. That's pretty rewarding as a crush counter. Lets you get up a boom, right? Just like that. I think that's like a little better, but I mean, you know, you could use this combo under if you want a little more stun, right? I think this even does more damage, right? Like into this. Yeah, it does the same damage and more stun. So I honestly don't know why they buffed this the way that they did, but whatever. Another major buff they gave Nash is that forward medium kick goes much further, is much faster, is 2 frames faster, and you can now confirm it into V-trigger combos, which is pretty good. This is like a pretty major change. It's a really nice footsie button already, and the fact that it's much harder to whiff as a character with pretty slow walk speed, expanding the hurt box is really good for him. So I think this is like a really nice quality of life change, especially going into this. God, I can't do Nash combos at all, but that's the idea. It's pretty good. So overall, I think Nash is like slightly buffed. This change is pretty nice, like being able to do 2, so you can kind of hit confirm into your 3 frame, and being able to go into the target combo is nice. The crush counter punish seems kind of pointless because you can get something much rewarding, like with their new buff, like this. It does more damage and stun than going into Heavy Tragedy Assault. And the only way to go into Heavy Tragedy Assault is off of a crush counter. So I really don't know why they made that change, or at least it like isn't sufficient to make it worth using. But all the other changes are nice. Having the new V skill, the small quality of life change with V trigger 2. Nash is about the same character, a little better. This one is really going to be really annoying to deal with online though. So yep. All right, so next character, we're going to go into Cammy. So Cammy received some pretty major nerfs, actually, at least in terms of rebalancing her cannon spike. So basically her EX and V-trigger spiral arrow are now much more minus, like when you V-shift. It's still not like a great answer because it kind of pushes you out of range, but you can at least always get the knockdown now. And if you have something like a super, you can always smash something like that, which you couldn't even get before. Before she was like -2, -3, and sometimes you can get something like that, which is a lot better. And this is also true for her V-trigger dive kick, which again, these are hard reactions to do, but having like a pretty significant reward off that is a pretty major nerf to Cammy. So yeah, she's gonna have to be a lot more smart about that and watch your meter. And it's now a pretty viable strategy to kind of hold your your own V meter to have V shift to punish this, which is really nice. The only other change Cammy received is they reduced the EX spiral arrow. They moved the throw invincibility from frame 3 to frame 6. I don't know anyone who ever used that, so that's fine, I guess. And they moved the projectile invincibility back from frame 1 to frame 4, which is nice. But I mean, practically in neutral, she's still gonna blow through it whenever. But there are situations now where you can make her have to block it. But it's very, very rare. Like, this 3-frame difference isn't huge. It's still totally viable as a move. But making her have to react just that little bit faster is nice. Other than that, Cammy is exactly the same. I don't think these changes are, like, game-ending. But for Cammy, I still think she's top tier. But being able to more effectively either V-shift punish or just whiff punish dive kicks, you used to not be able to get that. She would have recovered before my normal came out. But now, being able to more effectively do that makes her have to work on her spacing a little bit more, which I think is a good change. Like, she's still viable, she's still going to be top tier, she's a great character, but she has to space her dive kicks a little better, which is probably the most obnoxious part of her game. And then the projectile invulnerability thing, I don't really think that's a big deal. But yeah, now basically if she whiffs a spiral arrow, she is in recovery for 17 frames, which is about the same as like a medium. So it's still a difficult whiff punish, like if you're not really looking for it. But it's nice to be able to do that, or to go for a V-shift just like this. And if you do it well enough, do it with good enough timing, you can get some sort of punish. It's still not excellent, it's still not amazing. But it works. And it's much more effective against her V-trigger dive kick. I think you're less likely going to punish the V-shift just because of the spacing that she's going to go for this. You're more likely to get something like this. But yeah, she's still going to be top tier, she's still really good, but she has to space her dive kicks a little bit more effectively, which I think is a pretty good change. And then the projectile invulnerability really isn't a big deal. It just stops her from like blowing through strings, I guess. Which was probably unintended. And then the throw invincibility thing I think is like irrelevant because no one ever used it. Alright, next. Alright, next character we're going to be going for is Ken. So Ken seems to me to be probably the most buff character in this patch. He received quite a lot of like quality of life changes and some like significant buffs. So the first thing that they gave him, they changed the crush counter on his heavy kick to last literally forever. He now gets a juggle off of it, like he can air reset, so you can literally dash and do something like that. That's a miss, but like that's just like a small idea. But also, now he can go into his V skill 2. Jesus. Or I guess not. Can you not do that? Maybe not. Okay. Well, he does. He doesn't get a V skill 2 specific juggle, but it allows you to use V skill 2 more because you are able to actually use that crush counter again. Before, you would just do heavy kick and let it go and just like dash forward for Oki, but now he gets like an actual follow up, which is a pretty good change. So they reduced the pushback on crouch medium punch or crouch medium kick, and on crouch medium punch. These are both great things. So this allows him to more effectively go into his target combo, which is where most of his damage lies, reducing the hitbacks on crouch medium, and now he can link it to crouch heavy punch, which is really nice because he gets some pretty good conversions. You know, I think those changes are pretty strong. It allows him to get some more new combos, and like when he would get a counter hit on crouch medium, unless it was absolutely point blank, you would be pushed out of range and you would whiff like this. But now, when you're doing the block string in that way, if you hit confirm it, you're able to actually go into the damage and it'll always work. And you now have this opportunity to get a little bit more damage, depending on the trigger, depending on if you're in trigger, all that stuff. Like, it'll change your combos. But it's a good thing to fish for. Other thing they changed, they made his crouch fierce. They changed his the knockback. So you're now able to get a charged V-skill, which is great. This is a great change because you used to not really get a combo here. And you can go for a pretty... there's like pretty good follow-ups here. You can even go into heavy kick Tatsu here, which is like a pretty good change. Because before, again, he struggled a lot to convert off of his crush counters, and he still doesn't have anything great off of Stand Fierce, outside of just like canceling Raw into Tatsu. But for his other two crush counters that they buffed here, getting much better combos is really nice. Yeah, so having these new combos is a pretty good change. Allows him to pick V-Skill 2 more often, because the problem is he would lose access to most of his major combos. Like, being able to convert off his major crush counters. So those are great. Crouch Heavy Punches also went from 0 to +2 on hit. I don't think this, like, changes much, But I think it's just to improve like his situation after anti-airing, where he's more likely to be plus after like a dash or something. Or he'll be less, like, his frame advantage is a little bit better after anti-airing with it, which is good. This is all good changes. Other change they gave him, they made his crouch medium kick push back less far, so now he's more likely, if he hit confirms his crouch medium, to always get his Tatsu, which is amazing, because he used to, it was like a consistency problem that he had, where if he was either catching an extended hurt box or whatever, he would just like completely whiff his thing. But now you can see here, you can catch the extended hurt box with some normals and still go into Tatsu. These are great changes. It's all just like quality of life. Like, it doesn't really change his place on the tier list, but it makes like you hit confirm a button and you're able to always get the combo afterward with medium Tatsu, like meterlessly, if you time it. Like, you used to not always get this, so this is great. These are all good changes. Last two changes. So they made it so light Tatsu, when the second, when he hits point blank, it hits twice, but and it lets you juggle, like, so you're able to do this, right? Like, we all know this combo, right? But if you do, if you only hit with the late hit, you don't get that. They increase the damage by 20, which isn't huge, but you know, it's like a small change, I guess. It helps a little bit for when it doesn't hit. You get 20 extra damage, which is, you know, from 30 to 50. I mean, this is already super unrewarding, so at least it's somewhat more rewarding. Other change they gave him, they made his heavy Shoryuken go much further. So this allows him to blow through fireballs with it, like that, from pretty far out. Like, even trading like that is pretty advantageous for him. But yeah, you can just blow through stuff. It's kind of crazy. Other thing, too, is that it lets him go straight into DP a lot earlier from, like, all of his hit confirms. Dang. It's like, he's never going to be out of range to go into heavy DP off of anything. And he can just link into it, which is really funny. So he can do this from really far and still go into the DP from range. Just like that. It doesn't work at, like, absolute max range. Oh, wait, maybe it does, actually. Okay, not absolute max range, but, like, somewhat close range. You can link into this. This isn't, like, that useful. I would rather cancel it into something like that. But this link is funny. At the very least, this kind of is a good way to show how far they buff the hitbox. So it's better as a thing to raw hit confirm into from crouch medium, and it's more rewarding to blow through fireballs. Or not more rewarding, better at blowing through fireballs. So Ken mostly received quality of life changes, but these quality of life changes add up to making him like a more functioning character. He's now able to actually sometimes pick B skill 2, which is really nice because he's able to convert off his crouch counters a lot better with crouch fierce and stand heavy, and having more consistent combos after crouch medium, crouch medium punch, crouch medium kick, because he already has kind of struggle neutral. So when he would get hit like this and then from further out and then Tatsu would whiff, it'd feel really bad. So being able to at least now pretty much always go straight into Tatsu, get some kind of reward off your neutral win is great. And then also off this, more consistently getting his target combo instead of having it drop is amazing as well. Because like in situations before, it would counter hit, you'd be a little out of range, even though you thought you were point blank, and then you're fucked. So yeah, those are all good changes. Ken's probably going to be a little bit better, but it's all stuff that like if you play Ken, you know all this shit, and it's super nice. So good changes for Ken. So Necalli received 3 pretty like solid changes that all are either 2 quality of life changes and 1 damage increase. So now he has a higher damage combo off of this command grab. He's able to go straight into the V-trigger move, because before he was limited to just going straight into DP 212 190 versus going into the V-trigger move, which 1 bar 247 255. So it's a lot better. And when you spend 2 bars, you're able to get even that little bit more. So this is a nice little change to give him a little more reward off this EX command throw in trigger. 275, 290. That's pretty scary. I mean, that's like G level damage off of a command throw. You gotta spend 2 bars, but it's still pretty good. Necalli's one other change that he received is his DP, his light punch DP, has a little bit further hitbox from the first hit, so you're more likely to clip slightly further jump ins. This isn't going to be like a game changer, but it's nice because sometimes it would whiff and it would feel really bad. This is in and out of trigger. That's like his last change. You know, he still has these issues where it's not fully air invincible, but it is nice that he's able to like more effectively anti-air from further out. Necalli seems to be about the same, but the buff to V-trigger one is nice, maybe make you more likely to pick it. So the next character that we're going to go over is Claw. He seems basically unchanged outside of one small buff to his V-Trigger 2. It seems like they wanted to use V-Trigger 2 more often. He gets a slightly better combo in the corner from what I can tell. Basically, the kick move of his V-Trigger launches higher. So if you combo into it like this, I'm pretty sure that you couldn't get this combo before. You can either go into that, or you can go into this. You can slide. I'm pretty sure he didn't get these before. But again, I could be wrong. I don't play Claw. Other than that, they just did a buff where sometimes if you will input EX Flying Barcelona, it would only come out as the regular version. I didn't experience this, but those are the only two changes. Claw's about the same. You might pick V-Trigger 2 slightly more often, because you get a better... I think you get like a better meterless combo mid-screen too. Because you get the, like the medium slice. I don't know if you got that before though, but it seems new, so I'm going to go with it. So yeah, you might be like more inclined to pick this because you get a better combo. That's about it though. Alright, on to the next character. So, Mika received a lot of changes. Mainly they're buffs to her V-Trigger 2, and they're buffed to her air target combo. Neither of these are things that are used that often, so we're going to see how big they change them. So first thing I checked, so it says they reduce the knockback distance on mid-air hit, increase knockback time on mid-air hit, for the jump medium punch, and for the TC, it says they expanded the hurt box sideways. So I know that she usually has the TC fall out, like you'll fall out of the TC, she does it off a back jump, but they didn't fix this. In situations where she do a back jump, it'll still fall out pretty often. So that's not the change that they did. But I did discover that there are a couple like new combos that she's able to get mid-screen, which is pretty cool as a way off her crush counter forward heavy punch. So off her crush counter forward heavy punch now, you can do jump forward medium punch and then go into EX Peach, which is really cool, but I don't know if this is... I still think it's less damage than this, right? 267, 440. Yeah, 235, 400. So it's less damage, but like I'm not sure. I think there's some setups that she can do in Trigger that allow her to get slightly better combos off the air target combo, which is nice, I guess. So Mika received juggle point changes to her light, medium, and heavy Peach. So she's able to get like follow-ups after this now, like that, where you can like, instead of canceling, you can react to this and then go for the Peach after, which would whiff with the heavy Peach from before. Yeah. That's like a small change. But most of this comes together like in her improved V-Trigger 2 combos, which I'll show here. One other thing from the juggle point changes before I go into V-Trigger 2 I just realized is that she can, it changed her crush counter forward fierce combo to be slightly better. It's a pretty small change. So instead of going into this, where you would do forward heavy punch, dash forward heavy punch, heavy Peach, you can do forward heavy punch, heavy Peach, light Peach. This like, it literally does 2 more damage, but I think it's got slightly better corner carry, but it's really close. Right? Or you do the exact same thing here. I messed it up. Whoops. Just so it's like more obvious the corner carry. It's probably identical corner carry, but it's 2 extra damage. So big buff for Mika there. Okay, so V-Trigger 2 has a couple small changes. So the first thing you'll see here is that Nadeshiko gets off the screen a lot faster. She used to like kind of hang out for a minute, and it locked you out of using your second activation. So now you're able to go into... you're able to use V-Trigger 2 twice in one combo a lot easier. Like, it's just off like a normal confirm rather than like a corner setup or something. Another thing is the second activation has been buffed, I think. I think it's the same advantage on hit. Or it like it freezes just like the normal activation, and you're +6. And you can see here, right? There's the normal activation where the screen freezes. And then even here, it's the same thing, where the screen freezes just like it would if you just activated the trigger. So this combo is now possible, where it wasn't before. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't play Mika, but you can now get 2 chairs in the same combo, and you can blow your trigger a lot faster. Probably allows for some resets that I don't know about, but it seems pretty good. So after this corner setup that Mika has, she does pretty often. Like, I think we've all been hit by this. Right, and then she does her walk under. She's able to one-hit stun more consistently. So she gets a new juggle where she can do medium Peach into Nadeshiko, and she gets charge heavy kick into EX flip. So I'll show it right here. Alright, there it is. So that's the new juggle. Basically, you get you can get light, medium, heavy Peach, and if you juggle correctly with either of the V triggers, you can go straight into an aerial drop kick into either EX Peach or EX Wingless Air Pain. These are all like pretty decent changes. I don't think anything's gonna... This doesn't really improve the character too much. The air target combo thing seems kind of weird, but overall, she's kind of the same, unfortunately, which is unfortunate because she's not that much better. I don't really see why you'd pick V-Trigger 2 that often, since she's such a low health character, and V2-1's is already really good, but maybe people are going to see some good uses for it, but overall I think she's like kind of the same character. Alright, so Zangief received a pretty massive nerf, I think, to the way that he had to play defense. Basically, before his EX-SPD was throw invulnerable, so if you thought someone was going to throw you, rather than teching, you could punish them pretty big with an EX-SPD, but now, as you can see here, he gets set up into +2, and he gets thrown out of his EX-SPD, which is pretty shitty. I don't love it, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Other major change, basically a small thing where they changed the way his V-shift works, where basically if they just sit and block, if they block the V-shift, I think it puts them closer. It's kind of hard to tell based on the patch notes, and of course you can't like look back at what it was before. Oh yeah, it pushes way further back. So I think that's a good thing for him because it improves his defense a little bit. But overall, yeah, that pushes really far. That's crazy. But overall, I think this is a pretty bad change for Zangief. Him not having EX-SPD to be thrown vulnerable sucks because his defense is already kind of shit. But him having to actually tech rather than EX-SPD, because before, sometimes if you thought they were going to throw or shimmy, you could EX-SPD and grab the shimmy or grab the throw. But now, yeah, you don't win that option, which kind of sucks ass. So Zangief, bad, probably worse, but none of this like changes his core kit, so I don't think it's going to change him too much on a tier list. It just feels really bad. Like, I don't know why they changed it. So Laura received pretty minor changes. No nerfs, just buffs, but they're all buffs to her V-Skill 2, which is pretty unused. So the main thing they changed, they increased the juggles for light and heavy bolt charge, and this is to facilitate some new V-Skill 2 combos, which I'm going to show right here. So the first new combo that Laura gets is she gets to go straight from EX Clap, Fireball, into heavy bolt charge in the corner. Just like that. That's new. She didn't used to get that before. It's nice, I guess. It increases her max damage in the corner. Yeah, this change is nice because it allows her to get some new stun combos with V-Skill 2, which is always nice. Another thing that she gets is her, the hitbox for V-Skill 2 on an aerial opponent is increased. So she's able to get that a lot more consistently. Mid-screen, this really could drop a lot. So now she's kind of able to go into that follow-up. She does not get new juggles in the sense that, like, if she goes into the Fireball follow-up, but if she goes into the Fireball follow-up, she doesn't get light bolt charge outside of Trigger. But in Trigger, she does now, which is probably an increase in damage that she got in this form. Like that. She cannot reach heavy bolt charge, though. I mean, it's nice. This is a nice little change. Increases your damage with V-Skill 2. Maybe in matchups where you want this, that's great. I don't know those matchups. But it is nice to have like a reason to use V-Skill 2 a little bit. So it's just slightly more damage, or it allows you to do slightly more damage in combos when you have V-Skill 2, and it's more consistent mid-screen as a way to end combos. And something like that. Otherwise, though, Laura's untouched, which, you know, Laura's really strong. So it's great that she was mostly untouched with a tiny bit of a buff to a V-Skill that no one is still probably going to use. Alright, Dhalsim received 2 changes, mostly to his V-Trigger. I think Capcom said something like most people just use his V-Trigger to V-Shift and V-Reversal, and they want him to actually use his trigger sometimes. But they didn't really change anything in a way that fixes that. So they increased the range that the Carpet V-Trigger knocks down, which I guess is nice. So it probably like increases consistency of Dhalsim combos into it. Again, I don't play Dhalsim, but you know, it definitely seems further than before. The other change they gave him is to his V-Trigger 2, where he can do Yoga Gale straight into it, which allows him to get it up a bit safer maybe. And then I think you also... let me get this one to go away. Alright, and then I think you also get the second one too. Yeah. So it's just like a safer way to get it up. It's a safer way for him to access this, his V-Trigger 2. And he's able to set it up, something like that. Again, I don't play Dhalsim, but it does seem nice to be able to go straight into this from here. And you can meaty with it. And then you could probably get a meaty slide or something, like a plus on block slide, which seems nice. Both of these, though, are very minor changes. Dhalsim still mid-tier at best. Has some good matchups. but these changes are not going to change much about him. So it really won't change how you fight him. He just gets slightly better V-trigger stuff, very slightly. Like, I wouldn't be too worried about any of these changes. So FANG received some pretty minor changes, but he did receive one buff that I think is going to help him against other zoning characters. So the first change they gave him is they increased the range of the second hit of his light Sotoja, so he's more likely... It basically just increases how consistent his light combos are, but even if you take a micro step back, it's more likely to hit, but at absolute max range, it'll still whiff, which kind of sucks. Or you won't get all 3 hits at least. But it's better now, because you're not going to have them drop out, but you still won't get all 4 hits every time, which is kind of lame. Like, I wish they fixed this a little bit better, but again, not a big deal either way. Next, I'm going to show you the zoning changes. So, against Sagat, unfortunately this change does not apply, but I'll go ahead and show it, because I have them out. Basically, they increase Ryobenda as blocking fireballs, or blocking like Menat and Orb stuff. As you can see here, though, it doesn't beat Sagat high shot, which is what I wanted to check, but I'll go ahead and show you it beating something else. So now you can see here, FANG is actually able to reflect like mid-height fireballs, which is not something he used to be able to do. He'll be able to beat out Sonic Boom, Menat stuff. It's a pretty big change. Like, this is pretty big for his matchups that involve fireball characters. He's much more able to just cancel out their fireballs and force them to fight him with their normals, which he's more likely to win against. And as you can see here, he'll basically reflect it. Super free, even from further out. It's pretty nice. Those are the only 2 changes that FANG has, which is the increasing the range of the second hit of Sotoja, so he's more likely to get all 4 hits, or all 3 hits of the light Sotoja, right? For both hits, sorry, I'm thinking of with the cancels. But you still sometimes only get 1 hit from a cancel, which does kind of suck, but he's more likely to get full damage, and the change to Ryobenda is pretty big. Like, I would look out if you're a projectile character against FANG. This is going to be really annoying, because this move comes out pretty, like, he's able to kind of spam it to completely cancel your fireballs, and then he's just building meter against you. And he's able to set up, you know, coward crouch stuff, or whatever. I don't play FANG, again, I don't play very many of these characters, but I think this is like a really, this could be a good change for him. So Alex received 2 pretty minor changes, but they're nice quality of life. So the first thing that they changed is that, wait, I need to get hit. So the first thing that they changed is that he can now use, what's it called? EX Head Crush to beat meaty Commandos. I need to get charged. Holy crap. Like that. He used to like flip over them and not be able to get it, so this is like a nice small change. The other thing they changed is that his V skill 2, he used to not, what is it? Basically, he's able to combo into Light Stomp now off of normals. Basically, his V skill 2 Air Stampede, you would do this and it would go right over, so it's kind of worthless as a cancel like that. But instead, he's able to spend that V skill 2 to get a little bit more damage off of his lights. Off of pretty common things that he'll be going for, right? Before he would just go over, leaving him super punishable, and it would end your combo. So it's nice that he got like a slightly better combo off of like buffers in neutral into his like elbow. So Alex is like the same character, but two nice quality of life changes. Sees they're pretty happy with how Alex is, and he's already a pretty strong character. So yeah, I would be pretty happy with you if you were an Alex, or I'd be pretty happy if I was an Alex player. So both of Ibuki's changes are pretty minor, and they involve her lesser used V skill 2 and V trigger 1. So the first change they made is they made the bomb always +3 instead of +2, which is nice, but you're not point blank, so it still kind of sucks. I think you're more able to like, hey, can't even get that. Like something like that, maybe. Like you're now able to frame trap into your 6-frame medium, which I think is nice. But again, she doesn't like have something to set up where like she can frame tight until the bomb goes off, if that makes sense. So it's kind of it's still not that strong. And this is for the initial bomb or the second bomb. They're both +3, but they're still spaced out like this. So I don't think this is like a huge change. And the other small change is they just increased the V gauge gain from her V skill 2 from 40 to 60 on hit. That's it. So very small changes. Ibuki's the same character. I don't even know if this is going to make me more likely to pick V trigger 1, but you know, maybe you can make something work. Maybe you know something I don't. But yeah, so that's about all I would say there. So Boxer received 2 changes that seem minor but are actually pretty big. So the first thing they changed is they made him -2 after dash on forward throw. So this is pretty big, because before he could do dash into stand light kick, like this, and he would trade with all 4-frame characters, and it just made this like very hard to deal with. -2, I mean, he's still going to be dashing like this, and then he's going to crush counter you trying to challenge. It's very difficult to deal with still, but now you get like a slightly better chance of getting out of it, and you're not so fucked if you're only a 4-frame character. The other change they did is they increased, or they decreased the pushback on his other dash straights. So basically now, heavy dash straight, it's possible to space it, but even from full screen, you're still in range of Ryu stand light kick, which makes it a lot scarier to use. Stay in medium, or medium straight still seems pretty good at getting around for the 4-frame, but even there, you know, you're well within range. But I think this is a pretty needed nerf. I mean, seeing the -4s from full screen is kind of tough. I think these changes like don't neuter ROG that much. I just think like I think it's a good idea though that they changed this, because even if you try and challenge wrong, you're still fucked. So all in all, ROG's about the same with 2 minor nerfs that he probably deserved. Overall though, still a high tier character, still very strong, still very scary. You're still gonna lose to some ROGs online. So let's start with the good stuff again about Urien, or the good nerfs for everyone else. So crouch medium kick whiffs about 4 frames longer, a little bit easier to whiff punish, and they've expanded the hurt box for it to recover. So it's hard to set it up when I'm not playing Urien. I probably should have had another character, but whatever. I'm gonna try and time that so it works. Okay. So they basically have expanded the hurt box. Yeah, you can see it there. That would not have worked before. Yeah, but basically you're more likely... Yeah, that was huge. You're basically much more likely to whiff punish Urien's crouch medium kick, which is good because this move was kind of a pretty good harassing tool. It's still strong, just make it block it instead of whiffing it in front of them. So one of the other nerfs that Urien received, they made it basically so his light punch headbutt could only avoid throws at -1, not -2. They increased the time it takes for him to come airborne from frame 3 to frame 4, so this is going to set him up. Be here, you can see me trying to do the headbutt. And that, with reversal timing, my fucking camera's covering it up, but whatever. With reversal timing, you're going to get thrown anyway, so it's not a viable option. But Urien does have another option that's... He can just get out. So, not as good as headbutt, but still funny. He can either do heavy or EX headbutt. And this is pretty hard to chase. And he can still get out of the corner. You know, he's pretty minus, but again, he has a way around it. So the other nerf that they gave Urien is they made it so basically that his EX tackle is a lot closer, so you can't just walk out here. Before you could walk back here, and you could shimmy someone for trying to throw you at your -2. Now you can't. However, unfortunately, this became a lot worse for other stuff. Basically, it became the best, probably his best V-trigger activation point in the game. So basically, they might have nerfed EX tackle such that it's worse on block, because you can get thrown from your -2 here. They made it much better. Probably Urien's best V-trigger activation. Because he's able to go straight into this. And if that's not enough, if you set... let's set him to jump back. So, you know, sometimes you can jump out of the setup. You definitely cannot do it now. Basically, you're going to die if you try and jump out either. I think I just have to... So, I don't play Urien, but this seems a lot better. Can't jump out of the setup. Yeah. And then you think, oh, I should just V-shift. That'll get me out, right? Let me record it. Alright, so you set the Kendo V-shift. You know, oh, that'll definitely get me out of the setup. Whatever. I don't know the combo, but yeah, I mean, it's fucked. You basically, it gave Urien his best activation that he could possibly do, and either way, you know, oh, you tech the throw, you know, oh, you get shimmied, and you die just the same way. You're going to take 350 damage regardless what you guess. This is a humongous buff to his V-trigger in a way that's really annoying for everyone around. You know, I hope it was worth it for the -2. I don't think they're going to fix it. I think it's really funny, though, that they just completely failed to nerf this character. I mean, you know, 350 damage because you tried to V-shift, or 350 damage because you tried to jump back, or 350 damage because you just took the throw. Very scary. Overall, I think Urien's buffed. He's probably about the same. The crouch medium kick nerf is pretty small, and the light punch headbutt thing is probably his biggest nerf. But I mean, you can still do heavy knee drop out of the corner, which is something. But yeah, as we saw in like the Tokido item set, not having that light punch headbutt is definitely gonna hurt in his like grappler matchups. But it's like not the end of the world. And this activation is crazy. I wonder how long. I wonder if they're gonna keep it. I'm sure they will. But I don't see them putting out like a new hotfix right away to fix this or something. But yeah, so scary, very strong, almost no counterplay. I genuinely don't believe there's counterplay to this because either they jump back, yeah. I mean, either you jump back, you get hit, you do V-shift, you get hit, you take the throw, you get hit, you get shimmied, you get hit, and you take a ton of damage either way. Best thing, if you can, take the throw because it's slightly scaled now due to his nerfs from last season. Other than that, Urien overall, slightly buffed, I think, just because this activation's crazy. And before, it was a little bit, like, harder for him to get. Like, that was the scenario before, and at least you could kind of avoid this. But now it's, pretty scary. So Akuma received a couple of quality of life, or he received one major quality of life buffs that's been asked for multiple seasons. Basically, if you set them to guard, to not guard, sorry. Yep. And he does tip, crouch, medium kick. He will always hit into medium tatsu. It goes further. It's very nice. This specifically right here would have whiffed. Or it probably would have whiffed. And he's able to catch some extended hurt boxes. It'll still whiff at like max range, like if you cancel from here. But it's still a huge change because correctly confirming and then having them block your tatsu felt really, really bad. So it's a great change. The other change that's like kind of random is they made all of his air EX tatsus blow back super far. It used to send like diagonally down from the EX air tatsu. But I think they wanted to unify all of them. So that one and the V-Trigger 2 one all send the same way. They blow back super far. I guess they just don't want him to get Oki. The rest of his changes revolve almost exclusively around his V-Skill 2 and his V-Trigger 2. So the first thing they gave him, which is kind of weird, is they gave him Heavy Punch into Ki. I mean, you're +8 in point blank, which is pretty good. So you can get Crouch Fierce Meaty, which is nice. Or, I mean, you're point blank, and even if they back roll, they're still really, really close. And you're able to walk up and get a throw. Not like crazy, but it is nice to get slightly more reward. If they get crush countered by the Ki or by the thing, there's still no change. He's not able to like juggle or something. Nothing like that. I think you can't even like delay the fireball enough to get it to hit on back roll or something. So overall, I mean, you're just gonna get this a little bit extra damage and a little bit extra B gauge, which is nice. Next change they have, which is a great change, is they basically made it so that regardless of how many juggle points you spend, you are always going to be able to juggle into all hits of EX Tatsu, like the V-Trigger 2 Tatsu and V-Trigger 2 Fireball. This was super annoying before because it basically made this trigger worthless in some scenarios when you get a certain hit. Depending on the hit, right? I can't think off the top of my head. But like, definitely the one that I showed you, like EX Red Fireball, like stuff like this. And you go straight into, like this would not juggle before, and it does now, which is nice. So it basically just lets him always use this trigger. It's an okay trigger now, but yeah, so it's nice that he has more consistent combos and is able to get full damage rather than like the fireball missing or only doing one hit. The other change that they made is kind of wacky. They made it basically so you could always combo into Ki Fireball and you could get dash DP. This is not something you could get before, as far as I know. And you can even double dash, I think, and get DP. Maybe not. It's kind of tricky, but it's really good corner carry. Yeah, you can definitely get double dash DP, which is pretty good corner carry. It's interesting. And then you can get single. You can only DP. You can only do your meterless options off of single dash. So you can do this, which is good. That last hit sometimes whiffs based on spacing, unfortunately. And then if you're real close, sometimes you'll get DP to work like that. It'll also reach in the corner. But of course, it's still... what's it called? It's still really inconsistent. Off of like just single hit confirms. So if you're doing like a shimmy situation like this, even max delay, that's max delay right there. You still don't get the fireball follow up. Even with the EX, even if you super delay it, that's as long as it's gonna let you delay it. If you delay any longer, it won't reach. But if you're slightly spaced out, I mean that's better damage than he got before. That's 266. What is it? It's slightly better damage while still getting V meter. I think if you get all hits of DP, it pretty much equals in damage. Yeah. Nice changes. I know there's some like pretty big combos where you can do like delay. I mean, you know, this is more for Akuma players to experiment with. I think this V trigger, this makes the V skill slightly more attractive in matchups where you're not too worried about parrying. But I mean, the parry is so nice. So nice to have. But yeah, you know, you might be slightly more willing to use V trigger 2 in matchups where you really want to keep your V meter because you're actually going to get damage off of it every time. Overall, I think Akuma's mostly unchanged. The biggest takeaway is the crouch medium kick always hit confirming into medium Tatsu. Very nice. And the new wacky mid-screen combos with Ki. Double dash DP is kind of funny. He doesn't get the best Oki, but it is pretty good corner carry. He's still plus 12. We can probably walk up through there. Yeah, but overall, Kuma's about the same on the tier list. I wouldn't really move him much. So Kolin's changes seem pretty exceedingly minor. She's got one change, basically, where she can now dash. She gets her V-trigger dash after activation, like that. Her, like, skate along the thing. Now, she doesn't get any sort of reset off of this on hit. She cannot go into a follow-up because she can't go in off of that dash. She can only cancel into a normal or a throw. She can't cancel into like her hands or something. So in situations where you are comboing, it's still better to just walk forward and do the hands. In situations where the hands works, I think it's like this, right? Where this works, stuff like that. But you're not gonna get like on hit into some kind of combo like that. Nothing's gonna juggle. Yeah, you don't even get sweep. But it is nice on block. I don't know if this is enough to make me use this V-trigger. I probably would not use this V-trigger. I'm going to be more direct. Getting one mix-up, and then you can do it again. It is nice, but, I mean, again, you can get the same thing in the other trigger, and you get the crazy normals. The only other change they have is with a bug with their V-trigger 2, or basically, you get this, like, skate jump, at any point in your skate run, right? Where it kind of changes your jump arc, and you can kind of hold back and change the jump arc so you don't go in front. Basically, there was just a glitch where if you ran out of trigger during your run, it wouldn't let you go for the skate jump. That's it. Other than that, calling the exact same. I'm still never going to pick V-trigger 1. I don't think you should either. So the first change that Abigail got, the first nerf, is they extended the hurt box on his hand. This would not have worked before, because it is medium punch recovers really long, because it's such, you know, Abigail has really long recover on his moves, whatever, but now he has this massive recovery hurt box, where if he whiffs it, you're actually able to punish it, which is nice. I mean, some of these normals were like a little ridiculous. The stand medium punch is kind of weird, but the crouch medium one is even more pronounced. Like when he's recovering, let me see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go. You're still unlikely to get a combo, but you can try and whiff punish it. Yeah, there we go. If you have like a more whiff punish focused character than Ryu. But being able to go even into Tatsu off this, like he used to, I mean, he'd have no hurt box there. Tatsu doesn't really work, I guess. But if you have something to whiff punish this move used to be completely unwhiff punishable, and now there's an option to do something against it. So the other major nerf that Abigail received is that his it's much easier to anti-air him, his jump normals. You can see here, this would have 100% whiffed last season. So basically, if he commits to any air normal, you're completely able to anti-air him from like much further out. Like this is crazy. So that's his jump medium punch. They did this for his jump medium. This is his jump heavy punch, the one that hits kind of like this. They made it do the exact same thing. And this will work too with crouch fierces and like non-DP anti-airs. It's just kind of more pronounced with the DP. You'll still lose with timing against the heavy punch, but it's not because the hurt box at that point. There you go. You're able to get that kind of thing. This is also evident in his jump medium. You're able to clip that a lot earlier. And his jump heavy kick. Because again, all these normals, yeah, that 100% would not have worked. And you're more able to reach it from further out. So he can't just like spam his jumps far out and you don't have an answer. Now you're able to stop it pretty consistently. Even from like all the way back here with something like a roundhouse. This is pretty massive. I think it's like a fair nerf, but it's pretty big if you're an Abigail player. They also decreased his health from 1100 to 1075, and they made a lot of his moves more minus on block, his special move. So they changed his EX run punch to be minus 29 on block, which is ridiculous. Before it was minus 9, which he could space it safely, but now you can block it, activate V-trigger, dash, and do an 8-frame punish. So it's pretty bad. Or in Ryu's case, I think it's probably more better to do something like that. But regardless of your character, that is a insane amount of recovery frames. So Abigail's going to die for using EX Run. I'm not sure how he's going to use EX Run Punch at all, because that's an insane amount of recovery frames. Yeah. The other change they made to his special move, which is a little bit less of a big deal, is they made his EX Punches minus 23. So you're able to dash up and get a punish as almost every character in the cast, which is pretty big. I mean, again, this was a move that was pretty tricky to punish, or you were pretty unrewarding, but now they've made it so it'll whiff a lot longer. Or they added whiff frames too, like if he just whiffs it neutral. So you can get something like that. But if he's just throwing it on his wake up or something, you're able to dash back in and get a punish. Again, both of these changes, this matters a little bit less. The EX run punch change, though, is pretty massive. Yeah, the last thing that they changed involves his V-Trigger 2. So the last change they made to Abigail involves his V-Trigger 2. Basically, they made it so when you canceled into Metro Crash from your EX punches only, it costs 30 or 1500 instead of 1000 V-Timer. So if you can see the difference in V-Trigger loss, let me reset it one more time. There you go. So you can see here, that's like the normal one, and then off of EX punches, it uses a lot more. It's a pretty significant amount. I'm pretty bad at the combos, but yeah. So these changes add up. Abigail's significantly worse, I think. I mean, he's a lot less annoying to fight, which, I mean, helps anyone who doesn't play Abigail. But it does feel bad seeing someone get nerfed this bad. I don't understand this nerf being that minus. I thought the move was designed to be spaced so that it wasn't punished. Being minus 29 is kind of insane. Those are all the changes to Abigail. Overall, worse. Not like unplayable worse, but definitely worse, especially with his changes earlier this season to his jab anti-airs. Now he effectively has only very slow predictive anti-airs. And his V-Trigger 2 costs more, he has less health, and he has bigger hurt boxes on all his jump-ins, and he gets bigger punishes on this. I forgot to mention, he gets newer juggles off of his EX Giant Flip. I don't know the input, fuck. It blows back a little bit higher. I think this just is to enable some V-Trigger 1 combos. But it doesn't change anything very practically. I think it just lets him get heavy punches, like slightly more damage. But overall, significantly nerfed. So Menat seems to have received some pretty minor changes. None of this is stuff that's going to make her that much worse as a character. They extended the hurt boxes during her light punch, medium punch, and crouch light punch. This isn't going to let you whiff punish her. Like, obviously, you're not going to whiff punish the crystal ball or something. But you're more likely to, like, counter poke her. Like, if you throw this out early, it's still not great. But I was able to get it a couple times. Like, in ranges where you wouldn't have before. Yeah, like that. You would not have hit her there. And this is just the same for her crouch light punch here, where you're more likely to kind of counter poke her from range, from the range that she's going to be throwing the normal, like that. Those are not things that you have gotten before. And right here with stand light punch, like that, where you're more likely to counter hit her from range before her button comes out. And you can somewhat like see and whiff punish her crouch light punch now. You can see that's like a bit more of a hurt box than she had before. You're not just sweeping the body. It's still not like, this is not game changing, But it is nice to have an idea of what to fish for in this matchup. Like, if you know that she likes to crouch light punch, you can kind of fish more with crouch medium from range, because you're going to counter poke her like that. Overall, pretty much the same, but it helps. It gives people more ways to try and fight their way in. Because before, like, these counter pokes would not have happened. Like, that one especially. That one's really far. I wonder if you can do the crouch medium. No. Just your medium punches. But yeah, that was a pretty good example. Overall, though, same character, just slightly easier to interrupt. So Sakura received only one change, and it's pretty minor, but it's worth talking about. Basically, her follow-ups for her V-skill jump come out a lot earlier, which is nice, mainly for the dive kick, because you're able to kind of space the dive kick a little more effectively from in neutral. Like, that is a +4 dive kick, and that's kind of easy to get out. It's hard to stop that. But other stuff, when she does the fully charged dive kick and cancels it into her jump, she's able to do it a little sooner. I think she can do this with V-Trigger 1 as well. Yeah. Yeah, she's able to cancel into the dive kick a little earlier, making this a little bit better, which is great. These are great changes. It does not affect her timing for her V-Trigger 1, so when you set them to get hit, the timing of the follow-ups doesn't change or anything like that. It still takes just as long to come out. There's no new juggles. The only thing is its utility, as the dive kick comes out a lot sooner. So it's better when paired with V-Skill 1, or V-Trigger 1, sorry. V-Skill 1 is better paired with V-Trigger 1, and it's better with fully charged fireballs. I don't know if this is going to change what you pick, because having V-Skill 2 is really nice with the V-Trigger 1, because you get the fireball into roll into a big corner carry like that. Like that. But, you know, it's worth considering the alternatives. That's the only change that she's gotten. So now we're going to move on to Blanka. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the V-Trigger 1 changes. So, the Crush Counter, Crouch Fierce, basically they buffed his V-Trigger 1 Thunder so that it has increased juggle points. This doesn't really change anything outside of right here. Basically, off of his launching Crush Counter, like this, he's able to get he's still able to juggle into that, into forward ball, which is something he didn't get before. He can also now, with the changes to his rolling, shearing, whatever, the Sonic Ball move, right? You can delay the follow-up enough such that you can juggle here, because they increase the hurt box up. Something like that. So those are the two major changes to V-Trigger 1. The other thing that increased juggle potential gives you is when you if you activate off this and it happens to hit, which is a pretty common activation point, you can get that now as well. You used to not be able to get that. That's the only other change that I noticed. The other thing they gave him is they made his CA, when you cancel into it, reach higher, and I think that's just to increase the how reliable it is off of like up ball and stuff. Like when you do up all in a super, which I'm going to mess up a bunch trying to show it. But the idea is that it reaches just a little bit further higher, so off of some of his combos, he's more likely to get, he's more likely to be able to cancel into a super. When he's doing his juggles. Other than that, no real major changes. Basically, it seems like they really wanted to buff. They really want you to people to start using V-Trigger 1, but I mean, I honestly think both his V-Triggers are kind of bad, especially with V-Shift now affecting V-Trigger 2. So maybe being able to use more V-Reversals and V-Shifts might be good for Blanka. So I think it's worth experimenting with this to see if this is a better V-Trigger for the way that you play the game. But yeah, those are the only changes I could find. Those are the only ones listed, and I can't find any other conversions for Blanka. Overall, about the same. You know, maybe you'll try using V-Trigger 1 now. Alright, so Falke received exactly one change, and basically what it did is it made her V-Skill 2 increase the V-Gauge from 60 to 100. Only change, not really an effective character, but I figured I'd show it. So Cody received 2 small buffs that kind of add up pretty well. So basically they buffed his -4 punish with, right there. They made his knife go a lot further. Or not further, sorry, they moved it from 5 frames to 4 frames, which makes him really effective at punishing these -4 moves. It's still possible for these -4 moves to hit meaty, but he's always going to have a good punish. The other buff here that you'll see right now is that the slash move, he has +8 on quick rise like this, and within throw range, as long as you walk slightly, which you will be, more than plus enough to throw, because you're going to be +8. And then on back roll, right here. You're going to be... It's still kind of far, but you're much more plus. You used to only be +2 after the knife, so it's slightly worth... It's a lot more worth using now. And then if you juggle into the knife, like off this, and you go into knife, you're +9 now, or you're +10 or +15, which is pretty substantial. You're still kind of far to chase down and throw, but it helps a lot. I don't know. It's a nice change. None of this is like super impactful, but it will make you more likely to use knife as a slash as a combo ender, because it definitely is the highest damage, high stun option off a lot of scenarios. And if they do quick rise, you can still throw them. I was too meaty to throw there. You're plus 10 or +15 off of the elevated one, and then off of a grounded one like this, you're +8, which you can still throw. So it's more worth ending some combos than that, especially when they're getting close to stun. You know, something like that. Rather than being +2 and not even able to use your medium kick or something as a meaty. Yeah, those are all the changes for Cody. The Crush Life Punch thing is a really nice quality of life thing, because it allows him to like link off stuff, or link even further. Because this goes even further than his Stand Light Punch. You can see the range here. This range is crazy for a 4-frame move. And then he's of course able to loop into slash on block as well. But yeah, the buff to the 4-frame range is great, and the buff to the Oki is great as well. Both very, very small changes, but very nice changes. Might affect some matchups though, like choosing which feature tree you want. So G's changes are all mostly focused on his Presidential level 3. So you can see here, he's in level 3 Presidential, but he's still throwing his level 2. So basically, if you use light or medium of any of his special moves when he's in level 3, he'll do his level 2 version, his slightly enhanced one. And then if you do heavy, it'll be the same one as before. So his flip, all of that, they're all the same. It's going to be a little bit of getting used to the buffering like this, but it doesn't change the availability of any combos or anything like that. It just opens up new stuff. I'm excited to see what like the G Discord figures out for like optimal combos and stuff. But like something small that you can see already is something like this, where off of something like this, he could only go off of a counter hit stand at level 3, off of a counter hit stand medium, he could only go into this basically, which is his normal B&B, into the wheel kick, or now he can do like this combo. But instead of ending like that, like you would before, you could do and go into the full combo without spending any meter, which is really nice. I'm excited to see what the other combos are. The other thing that you'll probably already noticed is that the heavy fireball, it just looks different. I think they added like a bigger hitbox by his, or not hitbox, like a bigger animation near his shoulder. And it's also like that in V-Trigger 1. It's like a very small appearance thing. It looks cool, I guess. The last change they made is to his V-Trigger 2 Dangerous President. Basically, this only uses 1,000 V-Gauge instead of 1,500. So you're more likely to get to use like, or you're more likely to get one off and then still have plenty to do, go into like into his other follow-ups. I don't know if this makes this any more attractive. The other thing is they increase the knockback time on mid-air hit of his EX spin kick. So if you see here, it's kind of obvious here. This combo, right? It knocks back even further, and he's +2 instead of +1, which is definitely nice. Allows him to go for a throw a lot more safely instead of being +1. Other than that, no other big changes. Mostly I'm excited to see the changes, like the being able to use level 2 stuff. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, he can in level 1 and 2, he can cancel even later into this if you forget or something. I don't think this is a huge change, and it's not like he's doing it earlier. He doesn't get better Oki. He's doing it later, so he's getting a worse Oki. So like you can see there, I went from -13 to -20. Yeah, this is it's like an okay. I don't know. I really don't understand the point of it, but whatever. But yeah, overall, G, more interesting character. I think being able to choose between his normals at max level makes it more attractive to go to whatever. Like to be able to try really hard to get level 3. And I already showed you that one combo that's slightly more optimal. But you know, we'll see what people end up coming up with. I'm not sure how good that's going to be. And then the animation change is cool. Overall, though, almost the exact same spot on the tier list. Nothing like super functionally different, but he's a lot more interesting. So Sagat only has one change, so I'll say it real quick. Basically, his V-skill to uppercut, or not uppercut, sorry, his V-skill to knee now builds the same V-gauge as his V-skill 1 uppercut. Instead of 40 that this did for some reason, now both this and the V-skill 1 uppercut build 80 V-gauge, which is nice. Kage's got some very minor changes. They're nice, though. So basically, they made this whiff a little bit slower, or a little bit faster. So basically, when this move whiffed, it had like the increased recovery frame thing that they've added to some normals. So instead of, now it whiffs 12 frames instead of 15. Basically, it had 15 on whiff, but now it's just 12. That's the one change. The other change is that his Hadouken, in terms of B gauge, went from critical gauge, went from building 5 critical gauge to 10, which is nice. It's like a small, we'll pull it up because it's pretty relevant for this, actually. Very, very slightly more critical gauge on hit and on whiff. And it's nice because he, as a character, he's super reliant on his triggered combos. Or not his triggers, his, like his EX Tatsu for his best damage. Even in trigger, he's really meter to reliant, so it's nice that he builds more. And then they also increased the meter build from Stomp from 30 to 40, so which is also very nice. Yeah, that's it. That's the only changes he has. It's just nice for him to have more access to EX, and this probably makes this like a better buffer. Because you're less likely to get whiff punished for going for it. Yeah, we're going to move on to Honda. So all of Honda's changes rely around changing the juggle points to make this combo not work anymore. And lock it instead behind the V-skill. It's still really tricky to get now. I think they like made the hands hit less. There you go. But it still works. It works as long as you spend the V-skill 2. Basically, though, it kind of sucks because they're kind of hammer-roading you down V-skill 1 or V-skill 2 if you want to have good damage. But I mean, getting like 300 damage or whatever the hell this was, like 270, was pretty ridiculous. So it's like a small change. That's it though. That's its only changes. So basically the same character, just slightly less very situational corner damage. In terms of changes for Lucia, they've really readjusted this character in a way that I think a lot of people have been asking for. The first thing they did is they improved her anti-airs a lot. So they made it so her Crouch Fierce doesn't sway her so far forward. It's kind of hard to show here. But you're much more likely to get this anti-air to work. Obviously, it's not like not like Season 4 where some went covered cross-ups. But it's much more reliable as an anti-air, which is nice. Another change they did is they made the cross-up hurt box for her medium and light DPs come out a lot faster. Not when you're cross-cutting, like when you just anti-air like that, it'll still hit on the other side, and it comes out a lot sooner, so you're a lot more likely to win like that. These two changes are probably enormous for Lucia players, because she had so much trouble. Her DP is pretty slow in terms of anti-air DPs already, so having access to this, hitting both sides, making her be able to throw it out a bit earlier without having to worry about cross-cuts, or that there too, is very nice, and having Crouch Fierce actually be a reliable anti-air is a pretty big change for her. So a lot of the other changes they gave to Lucia revolve a lot around her Oki. So the first thing they did is off of all of these DPs, light, medium, and heavy, they made her +2 after dash, and pretty close, like in throw range. If they back roll, they're slightly out of throw range, but you can still meet it with a medium, which is really nice from what it was. They also made it so that she can combo into heavy DP, but only from stand jab, which is kind of weird because she doesn't get any like good links into it. But off of Warframe Punish, it gives her better Warframe Punish at least. The next thing they did is they made her Oki after up kicks insanely better. They basically put her in point blank range and +3. Right here, point blank. That is point blank, right? And then even if you have them back roll, you can still get in for the throw, just like that. And you're still going to be able to frame trap with a medium and be point blank. That hit meaty +5 too. Like there's like some ways to make your buttons hit meaty. But yeah, this is an enormous change for a character that's been struggling really hard for any sort of Oki. This change seems really good. Also, they gave her a very similar thing off of her EX, but it's even better. She is even more point blank basically. As you can see here, +9 in her feet are overlacing. Like she's in throw range and +9 on back roll, and on quick rise, she's +4 in point blank. But like actually ridiculously point blank, you can still take throw. Other thing they gave her, this is, so basically, you should always be going to up kicks at this point if you're not going to kill or take him to the corner or something. But it's the exact same thing. And then in V-Trigger, instead of being +3, she's +4. +4, +9. Which is, again, this is just such a thing that every Lucia's player is being asked for. Because she has kind of subpar normals. So she'll get this, but now she gets to win neutral and B+, which is really big. And yeah, even here, she gets this too. All of these changes are very nice. And the EX one is even more insane. Yeah, and she's still able to be in range for throw and actually enforce her really good throw game. Where she gets pretty good damage off her throws. The other thing they gave her is her heavy toxic into that. They gave her better Oki, so she's +6 now in point blank. Or not point blank, a little out of point blank range. But she's able to walk in and get the throw. And then on back throw, she's still able to meaty. Like that. And then she can meaty with stand medium. These are all really good changes. All of these are pretty big buffs. And if you dropped Lucia at some point because of frustrations with this, now is a pretty good time to actually try to give her another try. Because these changes are going to make her feel like a whole new character in terms of how sticky she is. The other thing, though, it seems like Capcom has no idea what to do with her, what is it? Her V-Skill 2. So they made her V-Skill 2 -4. It's still -4, right? Which is punishable. But they made it push back less on blocks, so it's worse. I've never ran into this being a problem, but yeah, so basically it's going to push less on back, which sucks. And they added some active frames, so it's like a meaty, I guess, but it's only 2 frames more active, so at the, it's going to be 0 at best, which is kind of lame. And the same thing with her, like, nubbing needle thing, which is only -2. Yeah. And, you know, you can make it meaty, I guess. But, I mean, they reduced the pushback on blocks, so you're still in range to get thrown, which is pretty bad. Overall, though, Lucia is going to feel like a whole new character as long as you pick V-Skill 1. These changes are really significant to her overall game. And she's able to, she's able to go into run up kicks off of almost every starter. And even on her her starters that wouldn't work with that, she now has her DP with better Oki. On back roll, you know, she's still out of range to throw. But every other move, she's able to go into range to throw. And she's able to go into this crouch medium. And since they gave her the ability to lay cancel this a little bit, it's still not, like, the easiest to confirm in the game. It's definitely worth, like, picking her up again. Because these changes to her Oki are going to make her feel really good. She's going to feel really sticky, really hard to get off of you. And she had really good pressure. She just never got Oki, so she never got to use that really good pressure. So I personally am kind of scared of running into Lucia right now. But yeah, definitely give her a try. So Gill received some pretty minor changes. Nothing that's going to make him a good character in any way. But I guess they're nice. So they made it so his EX knee drop is anti-air invincible on frame 5, which is still not amazing. Like, you'll still get beat out sometimes, but it's pretty good, like, in the corner. If you, like, whiff a throw, you can, like, do something like that as a way to get a free anti-air, which is nice when, like, you know you're in a situation where Crouch Furious is going to whiff. Other than that, the only other thing they gave him is for his retributions. Let's give him a trigger. Right. When you get a retribution, you get a big chunk of meter. This is nice, for sure. Especially because you're going to think, like, his B&Bs are going to do a lot more damage. I don't really know his B&Bs that well, but you're able to build a little bit more meter on your V-Trigger B&Bs, which is super nice. But yeah, other than that, no big change. He's a pretty meter-reliant character in terms of getting his retributions off and getting it a trigger safely. So being able to get a little bit more meter reward for successfully setting up those retributions is nice. But again, neither of these two changes are going to change much about the character. He's probably effectively the exact same. Alright, Seth. Seth received some changes. I think they wanted to promote using V-Skill 2, V-Trigger 2, so they buffed those two, and they nerfed, in air quotes, V-Skill 1, but I didn't really notice the nerf. So basically they made it so that you can, you grab much further, like the grab a whiff sometimes now, when you get it like that. But even if you, as long as you delay the cancel, it'll still work. Like that. So I don't really see that being a big change. The other actual change is that if you counter hit someone during this, you can go into a medium, which is kind of crazy, and you have a ton of time to confirm, which is, I think, pretty big. Because when you're doing these, like, when you catch a character doing a fireball, now you can decide to, like, go into your target combo to get damage, or take the, or even just something like this. But yeah, I think that's like a pretty significant buff, actually. So, yeah, it seemed like they were trying to make it, like, reach for less far away, but you're still catching extended hurt boxes. They might have changed it where, like, the initial suck is a little less far. It's kind of hard to tell, obviously, because I don't have, like, whatever. But they delayed the... They both made it suck less far, but they also made you able to delay cancel your timing. So, as long as you delay the grab, you won't whiff the grab, like that. So I really don't think that's a big change. Something they did change that is really nice as when you play Seth is basically this combo would drop super randomly. And it still does, apparently, but it's a lot more consistent if you do the right version, which would be this one. So if you do heavy off of the medium punch, it'll always hit now. So when you were in V-Trigger 1 and you would do this combo, or you would do... sometimes the axe kick would drop, and now it won't anymore. Basically, that's like them fixing them when they nerfed the dive kicks at the beginning of the season. They nerfed the hitbox, but it fucked up combos, so they kind of fixed it. Alright, so Seth received two other changes targeting his V-Skill 2 and V-Trigger 2. Basically, they increased the V-Skill build for his V-Skill 2. Now the follow-ups build 100 meter instead of 120, which is kind of crazy. You know, that's great. Great for him, whatever. The other thing they gave him, basically, if you let it go, eventually it'll just explode on its own. Before, it would just sit there and go away, so this opens him up to more setups. And there are also situations where the V-Trigger would just randomly go away. I've had this happen to me, but I can't think of a situation where it does happen. But this change is really nice. I mean, it's still not... it's still probably weak to V-Shift, but it's a very nice change. Like this series of changes to V-Trigger 2 and V-Skill 2. And the V-Skill 1 nerf that they were trying to do, it actually feels like a pretty massive buff. So I wouldn't say Seth is back, because without Dive Kick, Seth is still pretty different than last season. But Seth has a lot more going for them now. So yeah. Maybe pick Seth back up. So Dan received 3 minor changes, targeting multiple different things. Basically, they don't like the Dan Infinite. So now, as you throw out fireballs, you have a random chance to throw a red fireball. If I set him to always get hit, never guard. Eventually, the red one will knock down and it blows back really far. You can react to this and get like a pickup if you want, like that. There's probably other combos you can do. I think you can dash forward even and get yeah, you can dash forward and get heavy Tatsu. It's nice. This is a creative way to nerf the Infinite while still like giving Dan a new tool, I guess. Sucks that the Infinite had to go, but I don't know. People are kind of mad about it, but I don't think the Infinite was kind of justified, in my opinion. I don't think it needed to stay in the game. Other thing they did, you can cancel into this, let me get meter, heavy punch, Dan punches, oh, it's at a CPU, oops, heavy Dan punches now cancels into super, 1 frame faster, so there were situations where this would whiff. I didn't run into them very often. I can't think of a situation where they whiff for me, but, I mean, they obviously noticed some situation where people were dropping it, so it's nice that they added this. The only other thing they did is they really want you to try using V-Trigger 1. Let me set him to block. So basically, they've made you +3 instead of +2. You're still out of throw range, but you can take a little micro step and throw. So it's a little better on block. It's still like, I mean, you know, you get 1 throw for 1 bar V-Shift, so it's something. The other thing they did is in the corner. This is +3 in point blank, which is nice. Neither of these things are game-changing. Dan's basically the same character, he just doesn't have the Infinite anymore, which I don't think the Infinite was... It's not like it was, like, a big problem, but I don't know. I don't think this is the kind of game that should have Infinites in it. But If you're mad at me, go ahead and say something in the comments, I guess, if you think I'm stupid. The last character would be Rose. Rose just got minor bug fixes. There was like a situation where she had her white tarot card out. She'd pull her white tarot card again, so they fixed that. And then sometimes if you did medium soul spiral, you would fall at a different height. Obviously, there's no recording of these because these are super rare bugs, but those are the only changes. So overall, most characters in this game, most characters were buffed. The big nerfs that stand out to me are Zangief. I don't know why they did that to my man. If you play Ken, if you play Lucia, if you play Seth, I feel like you're pretty happy with this patch. Comment in the comment or whatever if you how you feel about the patch, how you feel about your character. I play Zeku, so I got off scot-free, which is pretty good. All right, thanks for watching.